we will go through a general list of things that usually happen when we make contact, giving you an overview of all the different stages, all the different phases, all the different steps that are often involved in contacting a new civilization. Now, of course, depending upon the civilization, not every step is always necessary, and sometimes there may be additional steps to take into account the belief systems of the society, the way the society functions, so on and so forth. Nevertheless, this will give you a general idea not only of the phases of first contact that we engage in our society, but it will also give you an understanding of exactly where you are on that schedule. So, we will go through the list. Some things will be self-evident. Some things we will provide a little tiny bit of an explanation for, just to clarify the idea. Nania, with your assistance, please read the first thing on the list.
Okay. Number 1, discovery of the civilization.
All right. Now that's relatively self-evident. We become aware that such a civilization exists and is at a stage where the first phases of communication, connection, and contact can occur. In your case, we understand you've arrived at a place, and have for some time, where you've begun to realize that you may not be alone in the universe, and you begin to send out a vibrational invitation that says you are curious about learning more. And then next?
Observation of the civilization.
We watch, we observe, we measure the energy. This is where you begin to see upsurges in what you call UFO activity around the globe, beginning to take stock of exactly what the situation is on the planet. In your case, of course, we discover that you have different nations, different factions, different kinds of belief systems, and we begin to formulate an understanding of how to relate to the vibrations and reality you have set up for yourselves. And next?
Determine the potential for contact.
Again, in taking all these readings and in assimilating and integrating all the information, we come up with an understanding of the probability for which contact may occur within certain time frames. And next?
If contact potential is high, choose a life or connection in the civilization.
So as we have said, the channel in your linear framework is one of our past lives. We almost always choose a life in the civilization that is ultimately going to be contacted, so that we can, through experience, understand the civilization more deeply, and then be capable of drawing upon that with the future self of that being, which in this case is me. So the idea is also that because we do this, it gives us an ability to understand the references, the idioms, the culture, and allows us to be more relatable, and you more relatable to us. Without this process, without this step, things would take a little longer, because we would be literally too alien to each other, because our society in many ways is very different than yours. And even the small amount of what we have described our society to be is a tiny percentage of the way we actually function. Much of what goes on in our world, in our reality, we haven't even delivered to you yet as information. Nevertheless, we have enough understanding of each other to communicate.
Then you want to design the life to provide necessary elements for future contact.
Yes, so the past life will then go through a pathway, a process that will give them what they need for the purpose of the future communication. And in this case, in the channel's life, there were certain incidents that occurred that prepared the channel to have the ability to do this when the time was appropriate to begin.
Generate sightings and observe reactions and responses.
This is always a fun one for us. Because even though there have been observations taking place, and sometimes you may catch a glimpse of the ships that are doing the observation, now the sightings begin in earnest. We allow you to really see the ships. We really watch and observe and understand the reactions that you have within your societal structure about the existence of our ships, and go from there.
Calculate the timing for various phases of contact.
By then gauging the reaction and responses that we get from all of you by having a slightly closer encounter with our civilization through the viewing of our ships, and a few other things and methodologies, we then can begin to see the structure unfold automatically in synchronicity to the general timing as it relates to your society. One of the outcomes of this is the understanding that still remains true at the moment as the highest probability of the window for open contact, which is approximately between your years of 2025 to 2033. That came out of the synchronicity that was the result of the gathering of the information of the reactions and responses to the sightings of our ships.
Guide synchronicity to prepare connection with the individual.
In other words, now that the life is being lived of the past self, we now create an incident moment. For the channel, this was actually the sighting of our ship on 2 occasions. You will see this played out in the film you will be witnessing later, so that you can see exactly how this occurred. But nevertheless, this was the inciting incident that began to propel the channel to consciously begin to investigate, well, as you often say, what the hell is going on? This is not the way we were told the world was. I need to look deeper into this. Which then led him down the path in a more accelerated way to learn what he needed to learn so that when the time came to do the channeling, he would be better prepared.
Initiate connection with connection individual.
So then in the channel, through synchronicity, being guided to go into a channeling class and learn the idea of channeling, not even knowing he was going to become a channel consciously at that point, then the telepathic connection that occurred in that class was the beginning of the real communication, the conscious communication with the channel, to allow him to decide for himself whether or not to continue on that path. And so?
Disseminate information over time.
As you are seeing now, that we have done with all of you, bringing through ideas and information into your society to see what you do with it.
Observe reactions and responses to information.
To see what you do with it. And this means to watch whether or not you are capable of remaining within alignment of your own energy and within integrity in your own society in the understanding, application, and utilization of the information. This will tell us a lot about how you will in the future react to more information and whether you're actually ready for it.
Initiate higher level communication with the connection individual.
This means that a blending begins if the individual, that is the past self, is starting to really open up to the idea and understanding of the connection that exists between us in the non-linear sense now, not the linear sense of saying, all right, that's my future self, this is the past self, but in the non-linear sense of understanding higher dimensional perspectives of this connection. For example, the idea that from a higher perspective, we are one and the same soul, one and the same being expressing itself in what you would call 2 different parallel reality time frames simultaneously. Once the channel begins to grasp the idea, once the downloads to the channel begin to filter into his consciousness system, and he starts beginning to view things more 3-dimensionally, 4th-dimensionally, 5th-dimensionally in the way that we do, then there can be a heightened degree of acceleration of the kind of information that can be delivered through that connection individual.
Choose additional individuals to disseminate the information. Thank you, Tadeo. Generate additional sightings to observe any changes in responses.
So again, phase 2 of the sightings, you will find the idea of such things then as the Phoenix lights and all sorts of things that stand out in a very, very powerful way to see again, what does the society do with this? What do individuals do with this? Many individuals began to become very accelerated after that kind of a sighting, although we also notice that the society at large doesn't seem to want to talk about things like that still. But again, this is a general assessment. Obviously, we understand that there are different reactions and different rates of expression around your globe because of the different nations, the different belief systems, so on and so forth. So some parts of your world are willing to acknowledge these things a little bit more openly, and some parts still remain relatively clandestine about these issues and experiences. So again, we take readings to see where you're all at, both individually and collectively, with the more powerful, more blatant, more obvious sightings that are then presented to you.
Generate contact symbols.
This, obviously, such as what you're seeing here as the Sedona vortex array and many other kinds of symbols that are representative of the vibrational frequency of contact, then begin to also be disseminated into your society along with the general information, so that you can kind of have a shortcut version, a condensed version of the information and the energy in these forms as permission slips to help accelerate and see what you're actually attracted to use. Because this, again, your attraction to these symbols tells us a lot about what specific vibrational frequency each individual happens to be on based on what they're attracted to.
Initiate phase-shifted contacts when and where appropriate.
So in other words, this is the upshot of what we have said to many of you, in that while many of you are waiting for contact to happen, contact in many ways has actually occurred face to face. But they usually happen in a slightly shifted reality that is similar to your physical reality, but actually isn't your actual physical reality that you consider to be your normal reality. But then you forget that these things happen, and that serves the purpose of allowing you to remember that these things have already happened at your own pace, and we use the rate at which you remember as a measurement device to determine when you are ready for more conscious realization of contact.
Observe the rate of recall of phase-shifted contacts.
What we just said.
Reassess and disseminate potential timing for open contact.
And again, the window at the moment remains the same, although there may be certain small bubble windows here and there around the world that can be somewhat accelerated to the general window we have given you, depending upon other things that may happen in your society, for example, such as your own discovery that life might exist somewhere off your planet. Whether that means an intelligent civilization or not is not the issue. Just the very idea that you discover for yourselves that life is possible elsewhere other than Earth can change your mindset to help accelerate the idea of contact with other civilizations.
Observe responses to announcement of timing.
Again, by letting you know such things as the probabilities of contact, we again gauge how you respond and react to that, and it adds more information as to whether that window needs to slide up or down, or other things may need to happen with it, or other presentations may need to occur.
Observe any changes in the status of the civilization.
Again, we watch very closely for the kind of things that are going on in the society, and recognize through the positive and the negative expressions an acceleration that determines and lets us know when things are coming to a head, when thresholds are about to be crossed, when major shifts are about to occur within the collective and individual consciousnesses on your planet. So again, we can better gauge the timing for contact.
Assist in balancing planetary energies.
The reason that my ship is above the Sedona vortex is specifically for this purpose, of adding our frequency into the vortex that is connected to all other vortices on your planet in a very powerful way, along with other ships over other vortices around your globe, and thus help balance out the energy of these vortices, which then emanate these frequencies so that when you come in contact with them, they help amplify whatever it is you bring into the vortex. And that's both positive and negative. But it's the idea of aiding and assisting with the balancing, blending, and acceleration of the energies globally around your planet to stabilize, ultimately, the energy field of your world and make it more conducive to the idea of open contact, because the vibrational state has to raise and meet us halfway before it will really be a compatible vibration for the level of contact that can occur with many other civilizations.
Generate primary tools of contact.
Again, similar to the idea of the symbols, there are certain things that, depending on the society, then have to happen. So in some societies, as for example is being done now, there are tools of contact that help accelerate the process, such as the documentary you're about to see. This is actually a tool of contact and will have an effect depending upon your responses and reactions to it and the responses and reactions of others around the world. Other civilizations on other worlds may require other kinds of societal cultural expressions, either something like a book or a play or some other form of information or creative expression that will allow them to engage with that tool in a way that will best serve that society to help accelerate the probability of contact.
Initiate filtering of non-compatible states.
This is what we talked about the idea of the splitting prism or the train station where the tracks are going off in different directions, and to make sure that you are aligned harmoniously with the train you want to be on, because it will be more and more challenging to jump the train in the future because the tracks are getting farther and farther apart. In other words, all the frequencies are starting to, in a sense, refine themselves into different streams that are representative of very specific realities. And ultimately, even though you may be able to experience many different kinds of things going on in your reality now, or at very least observe many different kinds of things, including things that are not necessarily vibrationally compatible with your preference, in the future, it will be more and more challenging to witness or experience anything that has nothing to do with whatever vibrational track you chose to be on. So this is simply an encouragement to make sure you're on the correct track, on the correct train that is most harmoniously aligned with your true self.
Become the prime mentor of the contact program.
As we have recently said, my father held the position of the head of the First Contact Council, which has now fallen to me. Because in the idea of being the first contact specialist and the representative to your planet at this time that is primary from my civilization, it has now fallen to me to be in charge of the rest of the program.
You're doing a good job.
Why, thank you. So are you.
Introduce the Contact Council to the civilization.
That's coming up, although you've had a brief glimpse, when my father did in fact communicate through the channel to your civilization relatively recently. But this is the phase you're at now. This is where you fall on that schedule of first contact protocols. You are about to, in the near future, be introduced more clearly to the actual entire First Contact Council, because now that you've arrived at this point, you have to know who they are and they have to know who you are.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Accelerate sightings and awareness of life beyond the civilization.
So again, these things are coming up. You're not in this phase yet, but it's approaching sometime within the next few years.
Observe responses.
Yet again.
And then initiate precursor contacts.
We will be talking in more detail about the precursors in an upcoming transmission from your New York area. But the general idea is that there are certain kinds of beings that will elicit certain reactions from you when you are in their presence. And it is those reactions to those beings that we will be watching very closely to really determine how ready you are to actually have extraterrestrial beings walking among you as a matter of course.
So we want to observe the reactions to that, to the
Yeah.
precursors. And then we want to initiate isolated physical contact.
Yes, this will start to become a little bit more toward the vibration of your physical reality, where we can begin here and there in isolated places, at isolated moments, the beginnings of the idea of open contact with certain individuals, certain groups that are ready for it at that time.
And you want to expand contacts over time.
Yes, and this will then be entering that window of 2025 to 2033, so that by the end of that window, there will be a general recognition across the entire globe that open contact with extraterrestrial civilizations has actually officially begun.
Initiate final sightings prior to open contact.
Yes, because open contact in the sense of some individuals here, some groups there, so on and so forth, is not the final open contact, which is with every single form of life on your planet, not just you humans. You are an entire system, and to us, open contact with Earth means open contact with Earth, the entirety of the consciousness in a variety of ways you have yet to imagine, but it's coming.
Hence the need for interspecies communication.
Yes.
Observe responses to the final sightings.
Yes.
And then initiate open contact.
Yes.
And final determination for continuation of open contact.
Because even at that moment, there may be things that people on your planet and whatever civilization we are contacting may make a choice to react negatively to, that we will then filter in and factor into the idea of whether the contact should occur in that way. Now, this may be anything from a slight adjustment to the way contact is occurring to the idea that contact should not continue at all. You will fall somewhere within that spectrum, and at that moment, based on true open contact, that will be determined according to what is truly best for the society and the civilization.
Initiate information exchange.
One of the informational exchanges, as we have recently said, that you would be given in open contact will be the delivery of your entire true history, filling in all the gaps that now exist in your understanding of your so-called past. Such things as true information about Atlantis, true information about your beginnings, true information about other civilizations that have come and gone on your planet, and many other things that you don't actually have recorded in your history right now for a variety of reasons.
Initiate any special procedures.
This will be determined at the time as to what any special procedures might need to be, because that will really be the true beginning of the incorporation and enlistment of your civilization into the Interstellar Alliance. And we will see what needs to happen for your civilization to allow such a transition to operate as smoothly as possible at that time, whatever your special needs may be at that moment.
Prepare the civilization for Interstellar Alliance membership.
As we said, this will include many different phases unto itself in going through the idea of becoming a full-fledged member of the Interstellar Alliance, if that's what you wish, which hasn't yet really been fully determined.
And you want to train civilization to discover other civilizations.
Yes, as we have often said, there are other civilizations that are somewhat around the same basic level that you are, and many of them have, in some sense, been left alone because you will become their UFOs. You will be making first contact with them, and we have left them open as your training ground to follow in our footsteps.
Amazing. Guide civilization's initial contacts with other civilizations.
Yes, we will be there to mentor you and guide you along the way so that you will not inadvertently blow up any planets. Just kidding, we think.
Initiate membership in the Interstellar Alliance.
Then you will become full-fledged members after having had some experience with interacting with other civilizations yourself by being the initiators of those first contacts. And that means you have open to you the expanse of the galaxies, of the universe, the sharing of technologies with us and other civilizations, and spanning the stars and truly becoming Homo Galacticus.
Initiate specific programs relevant to the new member.
Yes, you have your strengths, and therefore many different kinds of programs from your membership in the Interstellar Alliance will take advantage of what it is you bring to the Interstellar Alliance that is unique to you. Because it is all of that diversity that we cherish. It is all of the strengthening of the individual society that you are that will add to the unification and harmony of the interstellar alliance by letting you really express the strengths and the uniqueness of your being.
And finally, continue relations with experienced member civilization.
Yes, at that point you will be considered an experienced member civilization, and there are many, many, many things, many opportunities, many different kinds of experiences that then can be opened up to an experienced member civilization that, again, right now may be far beyond what you imagine membership would actually be. But you'll be able to explore at that time many different kinds of things that go beyond any of the so-called science fiction scenarios you've gotten used to about what it means to actually be a member of an alliance. It goes way beyond that and goes way deeper inside your consciousness than you may know. And so then.
And so I did have a question.
Yes?
When you mentioned about the final determination for continuation of open contact, or even earlier, isn't
Yes.
there another time where it's assessed whether or not a civilization will go forward with contact or not?
Yes, but we always, at the later time, offer the opportunity for the civilization to make a final assessment.
And once you shared about the percentages of civilizations that actually go beyond that stage,
Yes.
what was that?
The idea in general is that, let's say, on average, about 75% of the civilizations we have contacted will actually opt to continue for membership, but some don't.
What are some of the reasons that they don't?
They may find that in their own estimate, once they have become unified enough because of the contact, because they're now looking at things very differently, they may find that they've decided that they are going to create a unique and different destiny for themselves. And we will certainly allow them to do so and go off and find out whatever they need to find out on their own without necessarily becoming a member. In other words, it doesn't mean that they won't necessarily interact with us. They just won't necessarily be acting as an official member of the alliance. They would be acting more as an independent stellar nation.
Okay, great.
That would be
Thank you.
one reason. There are many others, but that would be one. Does that help?
I think it does.
All
Does
right.
it
Does
help
that
everybody
clarify
else?
things? All right. Now you know where you are in the program. You can now take a pin and go, you are here. And here is the upcoming calendar of things that are coming up in the future. So it gives you some sense now, and this is actually an important exercise. It gives you some sense of how far you've come, because you're not that far from the end of the list in general. And therefore you can see that you're progressing in the context of this idea, and you can see that there really isn't that much yet remaining for you to really accelerate forward into the idea of expanding in the way that we have just described. So we thank you for being willing to move forward in this way up to this point with us and other civilizations, because again, you are family. And the idea of reawakening family members so they can rejoin the family and welcoming them home is of great joy to us. So thank you.
Good day, Bashar.
And you good day.
Wow.
Yes?
So when I was in Seattle about 10 years ago, I had a being stand above my bed,
Yes.
and it was a dark figure, and I wanted to know who that was.
Well, what happened? Is that all that happened?
No.
What else happened?
I just woke up, and it scared me, and I screamed and woke my boyfriend up, and I told him it was a nightmare. I lied to him.
Why?
I
You
was
didn't want him to
ashamed.
think you were crazy?
Yeah.
What were you ashamed of?
Appearing crazy.
What's wrong with that? If it's the truth.
So can you tell me who it was, or
You have to answer my question first.
what?
What's wrong with appearing crazy?
There's
if it's the
nothing.
truth?
I've been appeared crazy my whole life, so it's
Then why was that different? Because it surprised you?
yes.
You didn't know what to do with it at that
Yes.
moment?
Yes, because I was in fear.
Have you told this person since then what actually happened?
No.
Because?
He lives in another state. He's married, got kids, and
So it's not relevant for you at this point.
right.
All right. But what do you want to do with this? Where do you want to go with this? Besides knowing who it is.
I guess I don't have to go anywhere.
Beg your pardon?
I guess I don't have to go anywhere.
But do you prefer to? Do you
Yes.
prefer to explore this?
Yes.
How
that's
deeply?
That's why I'm
How
talking to you about
deeply?
it. Not.
How deeply?
I don't know.
Does that mean you're scared of going deeper with it?
Yes.
Because what do you think will happen? What are you afraid will happen? Well, no idea?
That I will be dying and that I won't die.
That you will be dying, but you won't die? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not afraid of death. I'm afraid of dying.
Why?
The pain.
Who says that dying is painful? Who says it's painful?
I do.
Why?
Because I've already been there.
Which means what?
I've been in a coma and I've
Yes. And was it painful?
very
While you were in the coma?
just
Or
before
afterwards?
before and after.
All right.
Not exactly during, because I left my body, but
All right. Do you understand that you have made a friend of death? All right. I'll tell it to you this way. You've made some bold choices to make some changes within your consciousness in very dramatic ways. You follow me?
yes.
And you attracted the attention of some beings that are associated with the idea of crossing over. Understand there are life forms at every level in
Yes.
different layers of consciousness, in different layers of reality.
Yes.
So, by the choices that you've made and by your experience connecting to the concept of death, you have made friends in those places. You have attracted them to you because now you give off a different light. There's actually nothing to be afraid of, but you are and have chosen to walk in an unusual realm. And these are just the denizens that occupy it because they noticed you. Do you understand? Because you did something that made them notice you. In a sense, they applaud you for being so bold as to enter that realm in the way that you did. And this can lead to some very deep understandings of the connections between what you call physical reality and non-physical reality, life and death. You can explore this transitional state in a variety of ways because you have experienced it in a certain way and have made connections to beings that live in that state of transition between the living and the dead. Do you follow me?
When you say beings in the transition, I'm thinking of like so many. I don't know.
Yes, yes, yes. What?
I'm thinking of angels, demons,
No.
spirits.
Well, spirits in a sense, yes. But
There's
not
so
the
many-
idea of the angels and demons. These are outdated ideas in the way that your people usually express them.
Yes, I was trying to be generic.
But these people, these beings that exist in this transitional state, are simply a different form of life. But they are connected to the idea of the transition between life and death. It's simply their nature. You have referred to these beings by a variety of names. One of them is the Mothman. Do you understand?
I've heard of it.
They are attracted to the light that is given off in the transition. Some of you term this the tunnel of light. So like a moth to a flame, they are attracted by anyone going through that transition or even getting close to it because they are curious about the nature of your being and what you've chosen to explore and what you've chosen to be in this life and how you can use that state of being to your benefit. How you can bridge those two realities in moving forward in your life by calling upon the energies of the transitional state of the afterlife, of the spirit realm, in the way that you do. Are you acting on your highest excitement in life? Are you doing what you would prefer to be doing? Yes or no?
I just started 3 months ago.
To do what?
I've been exploring and absorbing everything I can.
About?
Well,
Exploring and absorbing is fine. What do you
Yeah.
want to do with what you're exploring and
well,
absorbing?
I like the idea of joining art, God, and medicine together.
Very good.
So I'm trying to figure out a way to,
All right. Are you having any fun with this at all?
yes.
All right. Do you understand that you can actually tap into those beings for help?
Mm-mm.
There's nothing you have to be scared of. You have the ability to tap into those beings in what might be termed a shamanistic way to help with the blending of those ideas in a very powerful expression.
How do I blend? Just by meditation and visualization, or?
Well, when you think of that realm, when you think of those beings, when you think of that interim state between life and death, the transitional reality, the transitional realm, the transitional dimension that is occupied by its own kind of flora and fauna, its own kind of life forms, its own kinds of consciousness that express themselves in very, very different, mysterious and curious ways, what kind of state of being does it put you in? Do you in any way, shape, or form feel somewhat shamanistic when you think about that idea? Do you feel transitional when you think about that idea?
I'm not really sure.
All
I mean,
right.
I do. I hear what you're saying.
Yes.
I haven't figured
It
out
may
how
be
to.
too soon for you.
Yeah, I haven't figured out how to put it together. Yeah.
All right, but you will if you keep going. If you are acting on whatever it is that gives you the most joy, following your passion to the best of your ability, with no insistence on a particular outcome, you are receiving guidance and you will be able to perceive it more and more clearly as you go. There is nothing to be afraid of here. You are simply discovering your power through a unique path, a unique perspective. It's unusual, but it's you. And you're going to learn a lot about yourself in a variety of ways. That, again, may be unusual, but it's you. So that's okay. It's okay to be unusual in that way. You don't have to worry about standing out and being crazy. Who cares what others think if this is true for you? You follow me?
Yes.
Is this helping?
Yes. One last
moment.
thing.
Yes, one moment. Is there some particular kind of image that you're attracted to? A symbol, an image of something?
A circle.
Just the circle? That's it?
I like geometric shapes and sacred geometry.
All right, all right. Coming up in a future transmission is something that you might actually find yourself relating to. It will occur in what has been announced as a weekend with Willa. And it will be the transmission called the 5 Levels of Mastery. This may have some meaning for you when that transmission occurs. All right?
Okay.
And the symbol of the circle will perhaps for you make more sense when you hear the description of the 5 levels of mastery. What is your other question?
I was sitting in a coffee shop one day, and I was doing some book work with the teacher, and the music on the speakers, they sounded beautiful. It sounds like angels.
Yes.
And then it was like, sorry, I keep choking up.
That's all right. You are releasing. Remember, as we have said, when you are letting go of old fears, fear-based beliefs can actually cause chemical constituents to form in the body. And when you let them go, you have to literally wash those chemicals out of your body, which is most often done through your tears. So those are tears of release. Do you understand?
I understand.
Don't be afraid. You are being guided. So, angels, yes?
So the
Yes.
the music sounded like angels, and then the air got really quiet and still, and I felt connected with everyone.
Yes.
That wasn't even the magic part. The magic part was I looked outside the window and I saw snowflakes falling down.
Yes.
And there's not even a word in my language that can describe it, but the best way I can is by saying I saw the purpose
Yes.
in every snowflake
Yes.
that came down.
You allowed yourself to expand your senses to see the interconnectivity of all that is and understand the unique and beautiful purpose of being unique, of everyone being a unique expression, and that your purpose is to fully be that expression, which you are now beginning to do in earnest on your journey.
Yes.
So, you all will be guided. Do not worry. You have friends in high places.
Yeah.
Does the word sage attract you in any way, shape, or form?
I'm surrounded by sage and I use it to smudge my house.
It will take on a slightly different meaning after you understand the upcoming transmission of the 5 levels of mastery. All right?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Snowflake. You have on your planet a saying. We may be paraphrasing slightly. A snowflake's chance in hell. However, a perfect snowflake can quench the fires of hell itself.
This transmission is titled Shifting Reality. And we will begin by describing a little experiment that you can do to help you lock in the idea of how you are shifting through different parallel realities billions of times a second, how you can allow yourself to feel the impact of this and experience more conscious awareness of those shifts. Now, this little science experiment can be done in a couple of different ways. And you may have seen this before. Nevertheless, it is a valuable little experiment, a valuable illustration that can have a very interesting effect on your ability to perceive that you are shifting through different realities many times a second. One way of doing this little science experiment is to obtain a strobe light that is variable. In other words, you can change the rate at which it flashes from slower to faster. And then what you do is turn on a little trickle of water out of one of your taps and allow this to happen in a dark or dim room, and turn on the strobe light and aim the light at the trickle of water coming out of your tap until such time as you reach a frequency of strobe that matches the frequency at which the water is falling from the tap, so that the effect that you achieve is to see individual drops of water frozen in midair as if the water is not moving at all. Now, another way to do this is to have a little motor, again, that you can vary the speed of, and you can create a little paper or cardboard disc divided into 8 pie sections. Color in 4 of the pie sections black, leave 4 of the pie sections white. attach this disc to the center of the shaft of the motor, turn the motor on, and achieve a rotational speed, varying it until you can start to see the black spokes appear to no longer be turning, but again, freezing as if they are standing still. You have seen this effect many times in the spokes of wheels. You have seen it in some of your vehicles driving by, even sometimes to the point where the frequency is such that the spokes look like they're moving backwards to the motion of the vehicle. But for this experiment, and again, you can do this with the strobe light as well as the motor, but for those individuals who may find it difficult to use the strobe lights because of a condition that you may have neurologically that prevents you from witnessing strobe lights, you can do it with the spinning motor as well. Either will work. The idea is, once you have achieved the frequency rate of either the motor or the strobe light so that the trickle of water or the spinning wheel looks like it is no longer moving, looks like it is frozen in time, frozen in space. Allow yourself then to meditate on that image, to stare at that image. The trickle of water may be in some ways slightly more impactful because it is a three-dimensional image. The spinning wheel will work, but the idea again is to change the frequency rate of the motor or the strobe light so that it looks like it's not moving. Now, when you stare at it, when you meditate on it for a good 15 of your minutes, something will start to happen. Your brain will know, your consciousness will know that the water or the wheel is actually moving, but your eyes attached to your brain and actually an extension of your brain will see the image as if it is frozen. These two seemingly contradictory levels of awareness, that something is moving and yet appears to be not moving, will set up a state of being in your mind, if you do this for about 15 minutes, that will allow you to start being capable of perceiving certain changes taking place afterward in your physical reality. It may not always occur, it may not occur right away. But the idea is that in creating this apparently contradictory awareness of something that is moving yet appears not to be moving, can allow you to start being able to perceive your physical reality in space and time as being more flexible, more malleable. It can even sometimes achieve the effect of seeing something in your physical reality that is in motion start to freeze or slow down. For example, you may witness a bird in flight and suddenly recognize that it seems to be going more slowly than it otherwise would, or it might seem to actually freeze in midair. You may start to see some flickerings in your physical reality as if it is turning on and off very quickly. Again, these effects may or may not occur, but the idea is that when you know that what you are perceiving in your physical reality as motion is an illusion, that you are simply shifting through frozen frames billions of times a second, and you have reconciled this apparent contradiction by doing this little science experiment to the point where you get used to understanding, where your brain starts to get used to perceiving and knowing that moving things can also appear frozen, then you can start to apply this. You can start to see the effect of this at times in your physical reality to a great degree or a lesser degree. The idea is to get a handle on the fact that you are creating your physical reality as a projection, that you can learn to kind of control the idea of what it is you are perceiving in ways that will allow you to fundamentally be aware of the fact that you are creating this within your consciousness, that you yourself are the strobe light, that you yourself are the spinning motor, and that over time, with practice, you can gain control over this and be able to reconcile this apparent contradiction of motion and lack of motion in a way that will allow you more conscious control over the manifestations that you create in your physical reality, over space and time in your physical reality, in such a manner as to allow you to truly experience, truly perceive that it is your creation, that it is your projection. It can unlock you in many ways from the idea of linear time and allow you to experience yourself in a much more multidimensional way. Because when you can create this effect of seeing your reality physically, changing its pace, changing the rate at which you are perceiving it, because you are starting to match the frequency at which you are creating it, this gives you an opportunity not only to create more control in manifesting the idea of what you perceive to be your own physical reality, but it also allows you to start breaking down the barriers, piercing the veil between your reality and parallel realities, which can exist in between the moments that you perceive your reality to be existing. So this little science experiment may be very simple, with the strobe light in the water, or the strobe light in the spinning wheel, or the motor in the spinning wheel, whichever works for you. But meditating on that frozen image while knowing that something is actually moving for about 15 minutes each day can start to allow you to experience the effects that we are talking about and begin to allow your awareness to grow and your awareness to grasp the actual fact that you are generating your reality from billions of frozen frames to create the illusion of space, time, change, and movement. So, take advantage of this little science experiment that can have profound effects in your ability to recognize that you are the creator and projector of everything you experience in your physical reality. Have fun with this. Stay with it if you wish. And allow yourself to play with it. Allow yourself to use your imagination and creativity with this. And you may see, if nothing else, that it may allow synchronicity to start to really expand and bloom in your life in many different ways. You will start to see the structure of existence, the underlying template of your physical reality made out of patterns within your consciousness. Many different side effects can occur from this. Allow yourself to know that you will still be able to function in your physical reality, because again, this will also give you the ability to call forth this ability to perceive in this way at will. You can turn it on and off over time when you are really practiced with this in such a way that you can still live your normal life, but there may be times then when, having practiced this for a while, you'll be able to call it forth at will when you need to in a meditative state, to be able to reconnect and reassure yourself that you are actually projecting what you experience to be your physical reality apparently outside of yourself. And again, this will teach you that it is actually occurring from within. And many different effects can come from that awareness and that recognition. So, this little science experiment of shifting reality is a fun game for you to play to get a handle on your ability to manifest. We thank you for allowing us to share this idea with you this day of your time. This is one of the steps in the Interstellar Alliance social experiment.
The question, what is my purpose in life? Passion is your purpose in life. Your purpose is passion. What does that mean? It means that passion and all of its expressions, excitement, happiness, joy, creativity, love, are all different ways of expressing the vibration of your true natural self, what we call your signature frequency. Your signature frequency is that resonant energy, that vibration that is unique to you, that identifies you as a unique aspect of all that is of creation. And the way you apply that signature frequency through passion is to act on your highest excitement to the best of your ability, with no insistence or assumption as to what the outcome ought to be, as to what to come to fruition, but to allow the synchronicity in your life to present to you the opportunities that contain that excitement so you can recognize it, because excitement is the compass needle that points to your magnetic north. And by acting on it to the best of your ability, you will bring about in your life what we call the complete kit. You will allow it to work for you. And you will discover very readily, very easily, that excitement can function in your life as the driving engine, as the organizing principle, as the path of least resistance, as the thread that leads to all other expressions of excitement, and as the reflective mirror that will reveal to you what may be within you that is out of alignment with that excitement, so you can identify it and bring it back into alignment and expand your excitement in that way. And simply by following that formula of acting at every moment to the best of your ability on your highest excitement, with no insistence on how the outcome should look, you will activate that complete kit, and it will work for you automatically, effortlessly, every moment, without fail, as it's working for you now. But the idea is to not use the mechanism of creation to reinforce the things that are out of alignment with your preferred self, your natural self, your true self, but to use the very same mechanism to reinforce what is in alignment with who you prefer to be. As you allow yourself to move forward in that way, your life will become an ecstatic explosion of synchronicity, very magical. Things will begin to happen all around you, because magic is, again, the true nature of existence. Miracles are the natural order of things, not the exception. And you can experience more and more of that miraculous magic the more you are in alignment with your natural energy, with your natural flow. Your willingness to act this way in life is a commitment that you make to yourself that leads you to the understanding that there is, in fact, a fundamental principle to this idea of acting on your passion. But before we get to that, let us give an example, shall we say, of how this concept can be practically applied in your physical reality by using the example of some form of project or business or career that may excite you, that you may be very attracted to, and demonstrate at every step, at every point, how to allow yourself to stay in alignment with that energy. So first and foremost, of course, the principle itself of passion, being that you need to act on those things that really are representative and reflective of that highest excitement, that joy, that creativity. Now, of course, again, please remember that excitement doesn't mean that you have to be jumping up and down, running around, as you say, with your hair on fire. But the idea is that it can be experienced as bliss, as a state of balanced peace as well. There are many expressions of the idea of passion and excitement. Those and also compassion being one of them. But as you allow yourself to experience this excitement, this bodily, physical translation of that vibrational energy that is your signature frequency, and you thus gravitate and attract yourself to some project, business, career, or what have you, or even just moment to moment, step by step, first and foremost, make sure that the project, I'll just use that term for now, is truly representative of your highest passion in all ways, so that you do it in the way that is most exciting, so that it is really reflective of your excitement in all of its aspects, that it is, in all of its components, truly aligned, truly being experienced, truly being created, truly being laid out with that passion in mind, so that you are doing it where you wish to do it that's most exciting, with whom you wish to do it that's most exciting, which leads you to the idea of another principle of passion, and that is, after passion, after project, then there is preparedness. Be prepared. Learn the things that are germane, that will give you the skills, that will give you the abilities to follow up on your passion. And again, as we said, there is no need to be afraid that some of the things that are required that you might need to learn would have to be learned in any other way other than the way that's most exciting. Many of you have this misunderstanding that just because you have to learn something in order to better enable you to act on your passion, that somehow the learning of that thing is outside of your passion. Nothing could be further from the truth. There is always a way. If you truly need to learn something, if you truly need to develop a skill that will give you a better ability to act on your passion, there is always going to be a way that's the most exciting way you can learn that thing. So please don't create contradictory definitions within your excitement by assuming that you can act on your excitement, but that the thing you need to learn to do it best would actually be not exciting. That's a contradiction in the definition of excitement. Anything that you truly need to learn must, by definition, be capable of being learned in a way that is equal to the excitement of the thing itself. If you want to look at that as an equation and a formula, go ahead. But that's the way it works. Your definition of excitement must be clear and self-consistent so that you don't have contradictory and conflicting definitions within your consciousness about what your excitement is or what other areas of your life it extends into that would somehow be contrary to that excitement, which it cannot be if it's a true definition. If you find that there is conflict, if you find there's contradiction, then it is important to realize that you may not have a clear definition of excitement, and it's time to refine that, time to examine it, time to explore it, time to make sure it's all lined up, and that all the definitions you're using for the things you really need to do are being defined in the most exciting way possible. After you know that this is your passion, after the project is designed by you to be expressed in the most exciting way, after you have attracted to yourself the idea of all the things you need to learn to be prepared in the most exciting way, then the next, after passion and project and preparedness, is people. Attract to yourself all the best people who are equally excited about what it is you are doing, who you wish to work with side by side, who you wish to collaborate with. Because again, doing what excites you the most must not only be done where it's most exciting, how it's most exciting, but with whom it's most exciting. And if those people do not exhibit the same passion, the same compatible vibration, they may not be the ones that really need to be aligned with you or you with them. Do not fear to allow yourself to recognize that things may be vibrationally incompatible with some individuals, because by allowing yourself to only align with those who are vibrationally compatible with your passion and you with theirs, you are thus allowing more synchronicity to occur, more magnification and amplification and acceleration to occur. And you're also doing a favor, a loving favor to those who are not vibrationally compatible by letting them go their own way. Because then you are allowing them to find what is truly exciting for them instead of holding them to something that may not really be exciting for them. Allow yourself to make sure that arena is also clear and clean. And finally, in this 5-part idea, after passion, after project, after preparedness, after people, is persistence. The idea of following through, of taking action in all the ways that need to be taken, all the way out, all the way through. And again, there is absolutely nothing about these ideas of persistence and these ideas of taking action and following through that has to be in any way contradictory to the vibration of your excitement and your passion. There will always be a way to do that. And again, in some senses, it is self-reinforcing, because if you truly, truly, truly are passionate about what it is you're taking action on, then you will persist, because nothing else excites you more than this. And that brings about its own persistence. And this brings us to the true underlying fundamental principle of passion. And that is, you have brought yourself to a place where there is no other choice. Period. You ensure that you don't create reasons that are contradictory to the idea of your passion. You don't create any other choice that seems as exciting, as reasonable, as logical for you to persist on. The idea of following through and persistence will come automatically with your passion when you allow yourself to recognize truly that you've arrived at a place where there is no other choice in that moment but that thing that is representative at that moment of your highest joy, your highest passion. Don't create reasons to do things that are outside of that vibration. Now, that being said, as has been said, certainly you have to honor your belief system as it exists in that moment. Because if you really do believe that your excitement can't support you, and you believe you need to hold on to the things that you're doing that are not necessarily representative of your highest excitement, but you believe you need them in order to support yourself in life, then honor your belief system and don't let go of those things until you yourself are absolutely certain, absolutely know, at whatever rate you're comfortable, at whatever pace works best for you, that your excitement can in fact support you. But at least give yourself the chance, at least give yourself the opportunity. Every single opportunity you can act on that is representative of your excitement, act on it to the best of your ability with no insistence on the outcome. And bit by bit, by bit by bit, and day by day by day, you will allow your excitement to demonstrate to you, to prove to you that more and more every day in every way it actually will bring about the synchronous opportunities and the synchronous circumstances that will be capable of supporting you in some way, shape, or form, as long as you are willing to open up your definitions of what support means. Because again, excitement being a complete kit will bring you the type of support that is truly necessary at that moment, even though it may be very different looking than the type of support you're used to receiving or that your society has taught you think you need in order to go to the next stage or the next level. The type of support that needs to be there to allow you to continue to act on higher and higher levels of your excitement will be there if you allow yourself to understand, again, how not to have a contradictory definition of excitement and understand it as a complete kit. And by complete, we mean complete, which means it leaves nothing out that you truly need. This is how the mechanism works. And the real fundamental principle, when you finally get to the point of acting on your passion because there is simply no other choice for you, you will accelerate at such a rate, and your life will become so ecstatic and so magical, and things will appear before you in such a synchronistic way that you will think you are dreaming, which you are. But you will be experiencing it in the physical dream. And it will be one more way that you can demonstrate and prove to yourself that you are creating your reality, that your definitions in your conscious mind, in what makes up your personality structure, are the foundations that determine how you experience yourself in reality, as reality, how it's reflected to you. And as you get a handle on understanding that those definitions are the blueprints, and as you allow yourself to change your definitions to be more in alignment with your passion, more representative of how you prefer to define your life, yourself, your circumstances, then again you create more and more alignment, more and more harmonics within your experience of reality. And you can use whatever feelings may come up when the kid of excitement may show you something, may reveal something in you that might be out of alignment with your passion, with your true vibration. You can use those harmonics. You can use that assurance that if you change your definitions, you'll bring it back into alignment. You use your feelings, you use your emotions to trace back to what definitions must be true in order for you to have those feelings, because no feeling can be had without a definition first. And the more you understand and apply this, and truly, truly understand that this is a description of the mechanism of creation itself, and use it from that perspective, then again, the more everything will flow, the smoother everything will be. It's really that simple. Simple as coming down to the realization and the understanding that there is no other choice for you. And you don't have to invent any other reasons to do something other than that. You don't have to buy into any definitions that are out of alignment with what you prefer. That's really the simple principle, the fundamental principle underlying passion, is that you are making a decision, you are making a choice, and that choice is this and nothing else that is not representative of your highest joy, of your highest frequency. And again, at whatever rate is comfortable for you. But that's how it works. Does that make sense to you? Is that something you think you can get passionate about?